Good morning. Today my office releases our annual TIF report. The report provides detailed information on Cook County's 444 active TIFs and the record-setting $1.3 billion in revenue they produced in 2019. Now that's up from 11.5% from the 2018 record of $1.2 billion. Some other highlights include Chicago has 136 TIFs, which generate about 70% of total TIF revenue in the county. The north and northwest suburbs have 93 TIFs, which generate about 19% of the total TIF revenue. The south and southwest suburbs have 215 TIFs, accounting for about 11% of total TIF revenue. The highest grossing TIFs in a single year were in Chicago, the transit TIF at $127.6 million. In the north and northwest suburbs, Glenview Naval Air Station at $39.2 million. And in the southwest suburbs, the Cicero TIF at $13.8 million. The highest grossing TIFs over their lifetime were in Chicago, the LaSalle Central TIF, $474 million over 14 years. In the north and northwest suburbs, Hoffman Estates, Sears TIF, and that's $625 million over 31 years. And in the south and west suburbs, the Cicero TIF at $245 million over 33 years. For over 190 years, the clerk's office has performed the task of keeping and publishing tax rates for all of Cook County residents to see. And since the inception of TIFs, this office has provided transparency regarding TIF revenues and reported this information to the public. Now, while my office does not approve or assess the qualifications of any TIF, we are responsible for calculating tax rates each year. We're the one place where TIF revenues for all Chicago and suburban Cook TIFs are calculated and maintained, and the place where people can depend on to provide that information. Information on TIFs has not always been forthcoming from the 100 or so municipalities that employ them. But my staff works throughout the year to provide the public with accurate, comprehensive information on TIFs, be it through these annual reports, our online TIF viewer, and on your property tax bill, which will tell you if your property pays taxes and is in a TIF district. A word about TIFs. TIFs aren't inherently bad. In fact, if they're done correctly, TIFs can spur economic growth by investing money where private capital can't get in. They can help bring development to blighted or neglected areas. But too often, that's not how it's been done. And often, the process isn't very transparent. I have seen how the system can be abused. For instance, by companies that get benefits of a TIF, then pack up and leave once the TIF expires. That's just plain wrong. And it's frustrating for taxpayers when municipalities limit public input in the process. Again, let me state for the record that my office has no role in determining the worthiness of a TIF district, nor in monitoring or manage where TIF revenue goes. But it's sometimes hard to see why every TIF is needed, especially in affluent areas. Much attention is paid to the Chicago TIFs, but there's a lot going on in the suburbs too. My goal is for everybody to be better informed, and my office will continue to do our part to give taxpayers the information they need. Now, I'd like to turn this meeting over to the Tax Extension Manager, Tanya Antifer, to provide some details of the report and answer any questions you might have. Tanya?
Good morning. As Madam Clerk just mentioned, today we are going to be releasing the Clerk's 2019 TIF report. Now, TIF stands for Tax Increment Financing, and a TIF district is a tool used by municipalities, cities, and villages to spur economic growth in areas which they determine are blighted or are in need of conservation. Earlier this year, the clerk's office released her 2019 tax rate report. The clerk's office calculates the tax rates for all taxing districts based on the property tax levy that each district passes each year, divided by the total taxable value of all of the property in each district. That is how we get to the tax rate. That tax rate was released at the end of June and is available on the clerk's website. This year, the total property tax in Cook County, total amount billed for all properties and for all taxing districts, was $15.6 billion. Of that, $1.3 billion is generated from TIFs. That's about 8.4% of the total property tax in all of Cook County being generated by TIFs. So this is just a chart showing just basically how TIFs work. So when a city or village adopts a TIF, the total taxable value, or EAV, that existed when the TIF initially was created is frozen for the life of the TIF. That is that blue area at the bottom there. So that is the value that the clerk's office uses when we're calculating the tax rates for all of the other taxing districts. Any property tax revenue that is generated off of that initial frozen taxable value goes to the taxing districts. Any value growth, any increment which has occurred within the TIF over the life of the TIF, any property tax that is generated off of that incremental growth, that money goes to the TIF districts, which are administered by the individual city or village which adopted that TIF. Over the course of the last 34 years ago, since 1986, this is a brief history of what has happened with TIFs in Cook County. The orange line along the bottom half of the chart are the number of TIFs in the city of Chicago over the years. Currently, there are 136 active TIFs in the city of Chicago. The red line is the number of TIFs in suburban Cook County over the past 34 years. Currently, there are 308 TIFs in the suburbs, as Madam Clerk mentioned. There are 93 TIFs in the northern and northwestern suburbs and 215 TIFs in the south and southwestern suburbs. The bars that go along the chart are the amount of property tax revenue being generated from TIF each year. The blue portion of those bars is the portion being generated by City of Chicago TIFs. The green portion is suburban TIFs. So if you look at the final year where we've got $1.3 billion coming in for property tax revenue from TIFs, you see that about 70% of that line is City of Chicago. It's blue. So that's nearly $1 billion for the City of Chicago alone, a total of $926 million for the City of Chicago's TIFs this year. The remaining 30% is divided, as Madam Clerk said, 19% coming from the northern and northwestern suburbs and 11% coming from the south and western suburbs. So this chart shows how the TIF revenue is broken down for the three regions in Cook County: the City of Chicago, the north and northwestern suburbs, and the south and western suburbs, comparing last year to this year. City of Chicago TIFs increased about 10%. They are about 70% of the total tax TIF revenue in Cook County. The north and northwestern suburbs increased 26% this year. They're still only 19% of the total, but they saw the largest increase in TIF revenue this year, primarily because the north and northwestern suburbs were reassessed by the Cook County Assessor for tax year 2019 and saw property values increase overall in the north and northwestern suburbs. The south and western suburbs TIF revenue remained mostly flat, and this is in part due to the fact that the second largest TIF in the south and southwestern suburbs, the Oak Park Greater Mall Area TIF no longer exists this year. Last year was its final year, and it's no longer contributing to the TIF revenue coming in from the south suburbs. So we mentioned before that about 8.4% of the total TIF tax revenue collected in Cook County goes to TIF. So where does the rest of it go? Well, the chart on the left is all of Cook County, and about 50%, 53% of the total tax revenue in Cook County goes to schools. Another 17% or so goes to municipalities, and then another 8.4, the third highest grouping, is for TIFs. The other colors that you see there are for other taxing districts such as park districts, library districts, the Forest Preserve, Cook County, those sort of districts. But remember also that that 8.4% that is TIF is actually administered by the cities and villages. In the upper right, we have the same chart broken down just for the city of Chicago. A little less than 50% of the total tax in Chicago goes to school districts, and about 22% goes to the city of Chicago itself, with 13% of the total tax revenue in the city of Chicago being generated from TIFs, and that is administered again by the city of Chicago. The lower right chart is for suburban Cook County, where a larger portion of the property tax collected in suburban Cook County goes to school districts, closer to 60%, 13% going to municipalities, and 4.5% going to TIFs. So cities and villages, just like every other type of taxing district, school districts, park districts, that sort of thing, city and villages every year have open meetings to adopt their annual property tax levy and to determine how much money they want to receive through property taxation. TIFs are different. A TIF does not pass a levy each year and does not request a specific amount of money each year. Instead, TIF revenue is calculated automatically every year that a TIF is active. So when we look at the city of Chicago, which levied approximately $1.7 billion last year, and then received an additional $926 million from TIF revenue, you can see that about 36% of the property tax revenue coming into the city of Chicago itself, no other districts, just the city of Chicago, is 36% from TIF and 64% from the city's levy. In the suburbs, if we look at all of the suburbs, all of the cities and villages in suburban Cook County, and all of the suburban TIFs, we see that TIFs make up about 25% of the total property tax coming into the individual cities and villages. Now, this doesn't mean that every single city or village is getting 25%. There will be some that will be getting a higher percentage and some that don't have any TIFs at all. We've got municipalities such as Westchester, Barrington that have no TIFs at all, and then you have municipalities such as Bellwood, which have 9 TIFs. So you have a lot of variability in the suburbs. So this is a map of where the 10 largest TIFs by current year revenue are in the city of Chicago. Now these 10 TIFs each are bringing in over $20 million in a single year. And that's the lowest one is $22 million there. That's actually 56% of the total TIF revenue generated in the city of Chicago in just these 10 TIFs. And you can kind of tell most of them are located fairly centrally near or around the central business loop area. The number 10, the Pilsen TIF, goes, a bit southwards along the Stevenson Expressway. And then the largest TIF by revenue in the city of Chicago and geographically is the Transit TIF, which is the dark red TIF along the north shore of the city. The Transit TIF is special not just because of its size. The next slide we have more information about the Transit TIF. So the Transit TIF is 5 square miles. It goes from North Avenue all the way north to Devon Avenue, and it is a mile wide, so it's 5 square miles. The other thing that's special about this TIF not just its sheer size and the amount of value that exists in this TIF, is that not all of the property tax revenue generated by this TIF go to the TIF itself. So of the $127.6 million that this transit TIF generated this year, only $49 million will be going to the TIF itself. $66 million will be directed to CPS, and the other $12 million will be spread across the other taxing districts that are impacted by this TIF pro rata. So part will be going to the county, part will be going to the forest preserves, part to the city, just pro rata based on the tax rates of those districts. In the suburbs, there are 7 TIFs that are generating over $10 million this year. Most of them, as you can see, are located in the north or northwest suburbs, in areas such as Glenview, Elk Grove Village, Schaumburg, Rosemont. The Sears TIF, as Madam Clerk mentioned, in Hoffman Estates, has the highest lifetime gross income of any TIF in Cook County that is currently active. To give you a little bit of context, that TIF is bringing in $625 million over the course of its 31 years. The largest TIF ever in Cook County was Chicago's Central Loop TIF, which expired in 2008 and brought in nearly $1 billion over the course of its life. It brought in $990 million over the course of its life. The second highest was also in the city of Chicago. It was the Near South TIF, which ended fairly recently in 2014 and brought in $638 million over the course of its life. If you look closer to the middle of the screen than toward the bottom, you've got the highest grossing TIF this year for the south and west suburbs is in the town of Cicero, number 7 there. And that one TIF is bringing in about $13 million. So there is a lot of information about TIF out there, and it's stored in a lot of different places. One of the first places to look for information about TIFs is your property tax bill. If your property happens to be in a TIF, if you look at your tax bill in the middle of the bill under the municipality/township section of your tax bill, if you are in a TIF, it will be listed there. Now, if you live in the city of Chicago, you have a 1 in 4 chance of being in a TIF. If you live in the suburbs, it's about a 1 in 21 chance of being in a TIF. So the way that your tax bill is calculated is that the total taxable value of your individual property, your EAV, is multiplied by the combined tax rate of all of the taxing districts that provide a service to your district. There is no rate added in for TIF. Your bill is calculated based on all the other taxing districts times your value. The way TIF works is that a portion of your tax bill is directed to the TIF instead of to the other taxing districts. And to see what percentage of your bill is going to the TIF, you can look at the third column on your tax bill, the 2019 percentage column, to see what percentage of your bill is going to TIF if you happen to be in a TIF. Finally, as Clerk Yarbrough mentioned, it is our role in the clerk's office to calculate how much revenue is generated by TIFs each year. As part of that role, we consider it our responsibility to provide the public with easy access to the TIF information that our office maintains. We publish a number of TIF reports and tools on our website, including our TIF Viewer application, which allows users to see where TIFs are located and to see how much revenue each active TIF has generated for every year that that TIF has been active. If you have questions about how an individual TIF is being managed and how the TIF funds for a TIF are being spent, we do encourage you to reach out to the city or village that adopted that TIF, as they are the one that administers that money. So this concludes most of our comments. The TIF report will be published on our website shortly. We have a summary of the overall a situation of what's happening with TIFs in Cook County. We also have a 1-page quick facts page of what's happening with TIFs in Cook County, some frequently asked questions, a fact sheet about the transit TIF, an overview of what's happening in the city of Chicago and what's happening in the suburbs, a couple of TIF maps, and then some more tabular data, some more nerdy type information for people to download. And we have that data available both in PDFs as well as Excel spreadsheets. So we welcome you to please visit our website for more information. And Madam Clerk, do you have anything further you'd like to say?
Are we open for questions? I suppose we'd like to open up for questions if there are questions. Oh, okay. Are we open for questions? Okay. Tanya, you mentioned something about nerdy, so I want you to come up here and if there are questions, go ahead.
First one's going to be from Hal Darden.
Okay. Hi, Hal.
Hi, how are you?
Well, I'm well.
Good. Yeah, I'm curious, of course, the TIF revenue goes up dramatically as assessed values rise in those areas. We expect assessed values to decline next year. Do you think TIF revenue will decline in the coming year as a result of those anticipated reassessments?
Reassessments. Okay, Tanya?
Hi, Hal. I hope you're doing well. Oops.
Well, thank you.
Got my mask tangled in my glasses, sorry. Okay, that was classy. So as you said, if EAVs go down, that is a major contributing factor to the amount of revenue that comes in from TIFs. So when EAVs go up, we tend to see TIF revenue go up, and when EAV goes down, TIF revenue does tend to go down as well. There's another element of TIF revenue, which is the tax rate, and when EAVs go down, rates also tend to go up a bit. So we can't really guess what might happen with TIF revenue based on what might happen with EAVs next year. But in general, when EAVs go down, you can also expect TIFs to go down.
All right, thank you.
Any other?
Instruct them if they have a question, they can raise their hand.
Oh, okay. So if you do have a question, I've been instructed to have you raise your hand in the Zoom meeting, and we'll
Call on you.
yes, exactly. We'll call on you and we'll unmute you.
I don't see any.
Okay.
None?
All right.
Okay. All right. Okay, seeing no questions, thank you so much. You printed them out?
Oh, just one question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
From Greg Hines?
okay. Let's see the question.
Oh, okay. Everyone what? Let's do the same question.
Okay, we have a question from Greg Hines. Hey, one question off the bat. Report shows a big decrease for River South from $34.448 million in increment in 2018 to $23.729 million in this report for 2019. Is that accurate? And if so, why the drop?
All right. Hi, Greg. That's a very good question. Actually, so if you look at the City of Chicago overview, which will be included with our TIF report, you'll find that the River South TIF in the City of Chicago actually had a reduction this year in the number of properties that are in the TIF. So about 1,500 properties were removed from that TIF, which resulted in that TIF bringing in less money this year.
So the city reduced the size, essentially.
I didn't hear the
The
question.
city reduced the size?
Yes,
essentially?
the size of the TIF was reduced, yes, by the city.
Okay.
Is that,
We've got one more question.
oh, okay. We have one more question? Okay.
You could have typed it in the chat box, right? Why didn't we instruct them to use the chat box?
The thing is that if they will not.
Okay. Okay, we have a question from Elvia. I don't want to screw up your name here. Malagon at the Sun-Times. It looks like the number in terms of the TIF revenue for Chicago is higher than the city's numbers listed in the city's comprehensive annual financial report. Do you know if there's a reason for that?
So my guess is that the city's financial report is based on money that they've already received from TIF. The numbers that we're providing is what's expected to come in from TIFs this coming year, from the property tax bills that were billed in earlier this month and were due earlier this week.
Okay.
But you can contact the city of Chicago for specific
other
questions.
questions? Okay.
And then I see
All
your
right.
hand.
Okay, no other questions. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, and you will see our report online and on our website. We thank you for joining us.